say get down when I say you get down. I say get down when I say you get down. I say get down when I say you get down. I say get down when I say you get down.
What the hell are you looking for? Can a young nigga get money anymore? Listen, you already know what it is. We back, baby. We got another episode for you today. This is Icons and Ideas presents the world according to Kay Nellz. I appreciate you. I have to say sincerely from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for rocking with me. So we're going to get into today's show. We got a couple of topics, as always, that we're going to talk about. It's just color commentary. We're not going to overcomplicate it. We're going to keep it simple. This is just the world according to my worldview. People tend to think that I have an interesting perspective on things, so I figured I'd share it with the world. Let's get things kicked off with the NFL season. We're going to start with the NFL. It is week one officially, is in the books for the NFL season. Now, I have to be honest with you, moment of transparency. I had jumped off of the NFL bandwagon post 2017 because I was riding with my man Kaepernick for sure. And I still ride with Kaepernick. I appreciate everything that he do and how consistent he is with his narrative. So I'm really just getting back into the throes. Like last season, I started towards the end being more consummately paying attention to the NFL season, the NFL games, the NFL schedule. This year, kind of kicking it off. Definitely, I'm from Maryland, so I'm a Baltimore Ravens fan. Baltimore Ravens is always in my heart. Shout out to Ray Lewis, shout out to Ed Reed, shout out to Terrell Suggs, shout out to Jamal Lewis, shout out to Jermaine Lewis, shout out to, all of the OG, Jonathan Ogden. I can't forget Jonathan Ogden. Shout out to all the OG Ravens, man. Shout out to Lamar and all of the new school Ravens that's blazing the trail and setting the precedent for what the Ravens are going to look like in the future. But NFL season is underway. Week one, my Ravens took a L to Patrick Mahomes and in the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm not mad about it at all. Obviously, I wanted the W. But I know, like everything, coming into the season, losing the pieces that we lost last year, got new pieces in, got a lot of young talent on the defensive side of things. Got a lot of continuity that we still have to create in terms of communication on the defensive side of things. And Patrick Mahomes is somebody that you have very little margin of error against as a defense. So, I have nothing bad to say about the performance that we had. I understand that this is only the platform. We only gonna get better. Salute to my man Isaiah Likely. I'm gonna call him Ike Likely from now on. We're gonna call him Ike Likely from now on. My man had some choice words in the press conference after the loss and say, hey, we ain't doing nothing but getting better. So if that's the best the Chiefs have to offer, good luck. He talking spicy. I like that type of narrative. I have to admit, I like that type of narrative. My man is talking spicy. But again, if your favorite team won or lost, it's all good. The season is just getting started. We're going to see how things shape up. Keeping to the NFL tune, right? I want to segue into, let's talk Chad OchoCinco. Let's talk Shannon Sharpe. Now, I got to admit, Shannon Sharpe has slowly but surely been getting on my annoyance side the more and more he exposes himself. Like I like the little caricatures that we saw on First Take and even before First Take and FS1 with Skip Bayless and in the brand that he built, right? And, I was okay. We cool. We like Uncle Shannon Sharpe with the hen dog and the black and mild because he was relational to a lot of the characters that we seen growing up, especially me. I'm going to speak for myself as a black man. He reminded me of uncles or figures in the neighborhoods that I grew up in that we seen. So I appreciated it. You know what I mean? Just a level of authenticity on the world stage. And then I slowly started to realize that it wasn't really authenticity. He was just playing a role. He got a level of reception that he probably didn't expect. And the whole Unc Shannon Sharpe or Uncle Shay, that whole character was born and he just leaned into it. And now the more and more he exposed himself, the more and more he talk about certain things and ideas, the more and more I realize I don't find much validity in a lot of the positions that he take. In this, what transpired between him and OchoCinco is no different. Now, obviously, everybody know they got the podcast, the Unc and Ocho show. They do the little late night recap, and they usually, for those unfamiliar with the format, you got Shannon Sharp in his side of things, split screen. You got Ocho in his side of things. Most of the times, they are not in the same place. But because of technology, it makes it easy. The quality is not compromised, things like that. Well, on this particular day, you had my man Ocho. He was running a little late, had some circumstances that seemed out of his control. And at this point, Shannon Sharp had a real, I'm going to say, visceral response to that. And I don't have as much issue with his response as I have with the format in which he did it. Because let's rewind. Everything I always say, one of the biggest problems that we have today is we got a lot of content without context. And people draw conclusions based off of the content without valid context. So let's create that context. We rewind time and we see one of the issues that led to the ending of Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp was the public at large, especially black men, didn't like the way this old white man and Skip Bayless was talking to Shannon Sharp. It was a narrative that, given our history in this country, as a grown man, I'm not letting nobody talk to me like that, let alone an old white man. It's just not going to happen. So the way that he was talking to Shannon Sharp was crazy. And it was visible. Shannon Sharp's frustration was visible. His disappointment was visible. His anger, all of those things was visible. And what Shannon Sharp do? Shannon Sharp tucked his tail, let this white man continue to talk to him crazy, took a couple of days off work, and then came back like regularly scheduled programming. And then when it came to an end, this man was even shedding tears. I think that was the beginning of the end for the fanfare that I used to have for Shannon Sharp. Again, my older brother is a Denver Broncos fan going back to the Elway Shannon Sharp days. Shannon Sharp won a Super Bowl with that Ravens team back in the day. So I was always a fan of Shannon Sharp, the player. And now that he was in his new space, obviously, I wanted to show him the same love. Unfortunately, I got to be real. As a man, I see certain things that I don't align with. I could still wish you all the success in the world. I'm just not going to be a part of condoning that. And his situation for me was no different. Shannon Sharp is now behaving in the same way to OchoCinco that Skip Bayless behaved towards him, that the whole public at large was like, yo, you out of line. At least in this instance with Shannon Sharp and Ocho, there is some kinship there. There is a level of respect that exists between them that don't exist between Shannon and Skip. So I definitely want to draw that distinction. However, for what we're talking about, Shannon Sharp have every right to have an issue with Ocho being late, regardless of what those circumstances was. But in my opinion, to let the cameras roll, berate him on camera, have issue with him on camera, and then post it, I think that was just in poor taste. I think everything that could have happened between the dialogue could have taken place off camera. OchoCinco is a professional. OchoCinco is one of the greatest wide receivers to ever play the sport of football. Ocho knows what greatness entails. So for Unc to take this position like he's trying to make him better and make him greater, as if Ocho don't know what that entails, I think is one, disingenuous, but two, it's a conversation that two men that respect each other can have in privacy. Because now once you, remember, content needs context. Once you get the whole world involved by posting it for the whole world to see, now you give permission for people to have an opinion. And that's the reality. So me, I'm looking at that. I'm like, yo, I'm really talking to Ocho crazy over a situation that everybody understands, because as normal people, we understand things happen. And the first thing Unc do, he try to position himself in a position of authority to say, well, you wouldn't treat ESPN or ABC or any other outlet that's covering sports. If you was doing business with them, you wouldn't treat them like that. You wouldn't be late. You would get car service. You would, so on and so forth. I just feel like that whole narrative is in poor taste once you let the cameras in to a conversation that should have been private. They are running a business. They are building an empire. They are building a brand. So it does take a level of tact, and it also takes a level of commitment to excellence. And that's what Shannon Sharp ultimately was pushing. He just executed it so poorly that it just came off like completely terrible to the public eye. And I have to agree. Some things you just need to keep behind closed doors. Have that conversation with them. Y'all on common ground and you move forward. And then on top of that, you a personality. You actually know how to be engaging with people. So it's crazy that instead of making this whole spectacle, you could have entertained the public at large. Yo, listen, my man Ocho, as always, had a little situation come up out of his control, running a little behind schedule. It's all love, but we're gonna keep rocking for now. As soon as Ocho get in here, we're gonna keep going as regularly scheduled. And then going, you could talk to him about your day. You could anything as an entertainer at this point. That's what you are. As a personality, as an entertainer, bro, you know how to entertain a captive audience. So I feel like you made a lot more out of it than you should have, especially for the worldview, and it got you looking real crazy towards Ocho. You look to Ocho how Skip Bayless looked to you. And no matter how you try to shake it or come back and clear it up, it's crazy. And it looked crazy. Also, we're going to talk a little bit about your snafu, Shannon Sharp. You know what I mean? Going live with the shorty. You know what? We might come back to that. Shannon Sharp made a mistake and went live while he was fucking.
You're lying.
I told you shit be happening in real time. So keep it to the NFL theme. Let's talk about Tyreek Hill. By now, I'm sure everybody is aware of kind of what transpired down in Miami before the Dolphins game. Tyreek Hill was on his way to the Dolphins Stadium for the actual game that was being played on Sunday. The 1 o'clock game, I think it was as well, when he got pulled over, which started out as a routine traffic stop, quickly escalated. And before you know it, reports is being sent out. Tyreek Hill detained on his way into Miami Dolphins facility. More details to come. And the more and more details came out, the more and more it kind of just seemed the whole situation was kind of ridiculous. So I guess the reason why he was pulled over was initially for speeding. He was in like a McLaren or something crazy, that he get paid a lot of money by the NFL. So that was what caused the stop. But what you've seen was how they go from a routine traffic stop for speeding to Tyreek Hill then getting physically and forcibly pulled out of the car, handcuffed, laying on the ground on his stomach, and also being assaulted by one of the officers. And like anytime you have a situation that happened with police officers and black people, there's always going to be polarization. You're always going to have people that say, well, black people need to be more compliant when police talk to them, so on and so forth. And those of us that are black and know what it is to be black in America, given our history, we know you could try to do every single thing by the book, i.e. Philando Castile, i.e. Tamir Rice, i.e. just name any black person that has been killed in recent history by the police. You can comply all you want, but none of that really matters in the grand scheme of things because the police is an entity that operate with a certain level of impunity. And that's one of the biggest problems with police overreach and overreaction in most of these scenarios. Because when you turn around and then sue these police departments and things like that, the fines that are paid is levied through tax dollars. It's paid by the taxpayers. So there's no real punishment. The issue with policing is qualified immunity. Research what that is so you can have a better understanding of what qualified immunity is. The problem that we have with policing is that there's no consistent and real training with policing. What I mean by that, why does it take longer to get a barber's license than it does to become a police officer? Why does it take longer to be a beautician, to be a licensed cosmetologist? It requires more training than it does to be a police officer. So not only do we have a policy issue with qualified immunity, but we have a training issue. And then we just have a human issue. It reaches a point where police begin to operate with the level of authority that really, and they genuinely feels like that absolves them of the human experience and treating people with human decency. And I don't want to hear anything about how difficult the job is because that's always the narrative. They signed up for it. When you signed up for something, you have to take into consideration what that job entails in order for you to do it at a high level and do it in a way that honors those things that you said you were going to honor, to protect and serve. That oath that you take is what you sign up for. So you can't say, well, I like this part, but not that part. I'm cool with this part, but not that part. No, that's not how it works. So black people already know that when it get down to it, when you talk about policing, our experience in this country, you could do every single thing that the police officer asks you to do And if they having a bad day or if they feel whatever they feel, they will definitely violate you. And there's very little recourse for that police officer. There's very little consequence that he have to face as a result of his irresponsibility to the oath that he took to protect and serve. So what we seen with Tyreek Hill, unfortunately, is all too common. Obviously, since the body cam footage has been released, people are saying, well, why didn't Tyreek Hill be more compliant? And it's like, at the end of the day, it's a routine traffic stop. This is not, it's real police work that need to be done. It's real things that's going on that requires the level of aggression that we've seen on display. A routine traffic stop with an athlete on his way to his professional game in a literally 100, the car was $250,000. That doesn't require that. Get the license and registration, write the ticket, keep it moving. But the moment they want to impose authority on other grown men, just for the sake of imposing authority, is where you lose every single time. So black people, we can be as compliant as we want to be. And this is not me giving permission or advocating for black people not to be compliant. I'm just stating what it is. We can spend all the time in the world we want trying to be compliant, but at the end of the day, until we resolve the issues that we have with policing, all the things that I named, those things being, one, policy, you have qualified immunity. Two, you have a lack of adequate and consistent training. The third thing was really just the human element, understanding that human beings should be treated with decency. And obviously, the other issue that we have is a concept that says absolute power corrupts absolutely. Power corrupts, but absolute power corrupts absolutely. You have regular people that don the uniform of police officers and then turn into these caricatures of what they envision policing to be and begin power tripping, as opposed to really being in tune with the communities that you live in. So I remember one time I had an encounter with a police officer. On the other end of that encounter came a very, very great exchange between me and this cop. So the situation at hand didn't have anything to do with me directly, but it just so happened to be, this was around the time that Mike Brown, rest in peace to Mike Brown. This was around the time that Mike Brown got tragically killed in Ferguson, Missouri, just outside of St. Louis, and all of the civil unrest that ultimately spawned the Black Lives Matter movement and all of that. I was in my hometown in Maryland at the time, and when this transpired, and our spot, is the local Denny's up there, is like Waffle House in the South. So I was kicking it with some of the homies. We went straight from the little after hour spot that we was at, stopped at the Denny's, feed the liquor, the usual. So we had the Denny's chilling. And of course, because it's a 24-hour news cycle, the information is up talking about Mike Brown and conversation surrounding that. And it happened to be a cop inside of the Denny's that was probably getting a cup of coffee or something. And he was, as a matter of fact, I think he was running security for the Denny's or whatever at the time. That's neither here nor there. But me being who I am, some conversation struck up about what was going on. So I turned to the cop and I was like, well, what advice you got for me? Because Mike Brown hit me differently because I saw myself in him. I'm a 6'3", 300-pound black man, right? So I turned to the cop. I say, listen, what advice do you got for me to keep me protected, for me to protect myself from scary cops? And he seen me and he kind of like was taken aback a little bit, but at the same time, it created conversation. And he shared with me something that I even speak on and touch on even still to this day. He said, this is what the problem is with policing. His words, not mine. He's been a cop on the force at the time. It had been 10 years. He was an older gentleman, right? He served 20 years in the military. He did several tours of duty. He said, listen, I've been in real war zones. And it's a different, dealing with somebody on a routine traffic stop is a lot different from dealing with somebody who's a little kid and you don't know if his uncle have a bomb strapped to him because they're religious extremists and they ready to blow you up. And you got to know, you got to have a certain level of situational awareness. And you got to know everything about everything. And every decision that you make is a split-second decision with ramifications that goes far and wide. This is the narrative. This is how he talking to me. He said, there's been several times in his career as a police officer that he would have been justified in using deadly force. But because of his training in the military and because of the tours of duty that he did in war zones, he did not have to use deadly force. And he said he was completely relieved and happy every single time that he didn't have to use deadly force. And he talked about the difference in training. He said a lot of these police officers don't have any real training, not combat training, but training in how to deal with people. He said, I've been all over the world. In the military, I've been in war zones, I've been everywhere. He said, I'm well versed with people. He said, I know how to talk to people. I know how to interact with people. I'm comfortable dealing with people. He said that reason alone is the reason why in both of those scenarios where he would have been justified in using deadly force, that he didn't. And so it created a conversation. He and I was able to dialogue in that moment. And I shared with him, I said, you know, one of the biggest problems also with policing, I said, police officers are required, or they signed up for, or they're dispatched to police communities that they don't live in. Now, I'm not saying it have to be a hard line mandate. In order for you to police here, you have to live here. But it has to be some sort of stipulation that the communities that these people police, they have to be in some way, shape, form, or fashion tied to these communities, because it naturally inhibits a certain level of pride in the community, a certain level of awareness in the community. 20 years of terrorizing the same community don't make you a part of that community. And oftentimes that's what police think. Well, I've been an officer in this same precinct for 10, 15 years. I know everybody in this community. Yeah, but you're not a part of the community. It would be so different if the police were actually a part of the communities that they had to police, because then there's a certain level of pride, there's a certain level of awareness, there's a certain level of care that they would have, even while executing their duties. And I think too often we give police a pass because we say, oh, that job is difficult, or that job is hard, or we need to have more understanding. At the end of the day, the irony is they expect the average civilian with a gun in their face to have more restraint than the police officers that's trained to put the gun in their face. Tell me, how does that make sense? But that's what we face with every day. So although it transpired between Tyreek Hill was very small on a scale of what we see happen with policing every day, it's just a microcosm of a larger issue. And that is, police feel they have way too much power to treat people any kind of way, especially black people. And I don't want to hear that, oh, because the most insane thing was one of the police officers said, oh, basically he was telling Tyreek, don't pull a black card because we brown, we people of color too. Like, no, this is what I need people to understand. When you talking about policing, once you put on that uniform and that badge, you could throw away that black and brown stuff out the window. You blue. And that's who your allegiance and your loyalty is to. That's why when y'all operate the way y'all do, y'all stay on code. I don't care where you come from. I don't care what your background is. Once you put on that uniform, you inherently become everything that uniform represents, good, bad, right, or wrong, or indifferent. So don't try to be an ally. Don't try to align because it's convenient, because the narrative is changing away from your favor. Nah, you represent an entity. And once you put those colors on, that's what you got to wear that. So again, we got to be on point. Also, it's a guy out there. I don't want to be critical of him, but I also feel like it's accountability to go around. His IG, I think, is New Emerging King. He do a lot of nonprofit work in the community. So I have to tip my hat to him for his constant and consistent commitment to the community and giving black men tools of the trade, giving young black kids a look at how to equip themselves with skills that will ultimately be able to help them make a living as they grow into young men. But he took this opportunity to repost a video that he had shared a little while back. He took the Tyreek situation to repost his video that he did showing young black kids how to interact with the police. And to me, that's egregious because it puts the onus on young black kids to present themselves in a manner that's docile and comfortable enough to not scare these quote unquote cops that's supposedly trained to be able to police. It just sends the wrong message all the way around the board. And he received a lot of scrutiny when he first released it. And obviously, because this is an engagement game and the algorithm, obviously, if you monetize, is going to reap some benefits for you. This was a perfect storm for him to release the video, show that same video where he could get the same monetization and get the same outrage that he got before when he first posted it. My position is still the same from when he first posted it. I salute all the great work that you do for those young kids because most of it is from your heart and you do it on your own dime and you don't ask anything of anybody, particularly the public at large. And it's a sacrifice that you make. I salute that. But at the same time, I got to hold you accountable to teach young black kids how to present themselves in a manner that's safe enough for police without ever turning your attention to address and talk about the true problem with policing. It sends the wrong message. It creates the wrong narrative because you inadvertently telling the police that it's okay for you to continue to terrorize our communities. I'm going to just turn to my black boys and teach them how to present yourself in a manner that's soft enough and polite enough and nice enough for police. Nah, that's not how the game go. I don't mean no harm. I'm going to be an individual. I treat everybody with the love and respect that I want, no matter who you are, no matter your position, no matter your title. If that's not enough to warrant you to give me the same love and respect, then it is what it is. I'm sorry, I can't deviate from that because what it's doing is we need to put more pressure on police. You really need to start talking about those pensions. If you really want to see change in policing, start making these lawsuits that come from when you sue the police, start making it come from their pension instead of tax dollars. See if we won't see a change in behavior. If you lose your pension, you got 90,000, you got 100,000, you got $250,000, you got $1 million in your pension, and you lose 500,000 of that to a lawsuit, it's going to change the way you police. Get rid of qualified immunity. Start making those steps. It's a policy issue when we talk about policing. The policies that's in place give police the authority to operate with the impunity that they do. So we can't be surprised at the results. At the same time, I'm cool with equipping our young men with information, with knowledge, but teaching them to be docile and yes, a master to the police to get you through a traffic stop, I can't condone that. It's just not in me. So again, I salute all the work that you're doing because ever since you came across the radar with the interaction that you had with Roland Martin on his channel, that's how I seen you the first time. I see that you've been committed to a certain level of work. I salute that, but we got to hold everybody accountable. And we can't be teaching our young black boys to be docile and mild-mannered to make ourselves appear to be safe for these police officers that's supposed to be trained to do what they do. So moving right along. Let's cue the politics as usual. We talking politics. Yeah. Let's talk some politics. I'm feeling like a black Republican money I got coming in. Can't turn my back on the hood. Too much love for them. Can't clean my act. Let's talk politics. I know I was a little extra. But listen, we had a presidential debate recently. I'm not going to go into the weeds because I could really do a whole segment on politics and all of that stuff. But let's just talk about what we're dealing with, the landscape of the political environment that we're talking about today. You got Kamala Harris on one end, you got Donald Trump on the other end, you got Democrat on one end, you got Republican on the other end, right? Typical polarization that we see every 4 years. This is the thing. This is where we are as November approaches and gets closer. The people that's truly for Donald Trump are not changing their tone. They'll be for Donald Trump. The people that's for Kamala, the people that's for Kamala, they're going to be for Kamala. They're not going to change their tone. A lot of the theatrics that we see is just formality. It's just going through the motions. The debate was exactly how I expected it to be. Trump is a master marketer, so he get up and he grandstand. He tell big lies and he repeat the big lies with so much conviction that they sound honest and sincere and truthful, but that doesn't make them not lies. He's still lying. Kamala is a lawyer. Donald Trump is almost going to lose every single time in a debate against a lawyer. So obviously, when you look at it just on paper for what it is, Kamala going to dance circles around him because that's her purview. She's in her arena. He's the fish out of water. Even though he's been in quote unquote presidential debates before, it's a different muscle that you have to exercise when the person across from you is a lawyer, former district attorney, and so on and so forth. So that's what we saw on display. Now, you can break down the fundamentals of what each of them stand for. And you can talk about all the pros that Trump represent, and you can talk about all the pros that Kamala represent. You can talk about all the ways the Democratic Party is falling short, and you can talk about all the ways that the Republican Party is falling short. But at the end of the day, much like 4 years ago, they go through all of these theatrics, and then the same methods of control exist after the election is over and the president is sitting in the office at that point. So we're just watching the show, essentially, right? We're just watching what take place between the two candidates. Kamala looked far more polished in yesterday's debate. Donald Trump was doing what Donald Trump do. He was right on brand for him. So for those people that's echoing the sentiment of, oh, Donald Trump was horrible and he lost the debate and so on and so forth, all of that could be true, but that changes nothing about what he represents for the people that he represents. And the same for Kamala. She won the debate. That changes nothing for the people that she represents. All in all, I shared this with several people that we talk to on the political landscape. I don't have a dog in the fight, and I'm comfortable and confident saying that. None of the parties, I don't believe in party politics. So none of the parties really align with what I believe. None of the parties really are speaking to agendas that is beneficial to me or the people that I love or the communities that I'm around. So because that's the case, I look at the political landscape from an objective point of view and where we are. One thing I know for a fact, you look at anything long enough, you won't find fault in it. I could find fault in what Kamala doing and what she represented, how she moved. Just like I could do the same for Donald Trump and what he represent and what he moved. The people is what never ceases to amaze me. The way people are responding, people on the left are vigorously for their candidate, and that's okay. Okay, that's what you choose. People on the right vigorously for their candidate. But at the end of the day, literally nothing changes when you look at what we've been dealing with as a people. 70% of the country on or below the poverty line. The majority of people can't, literally $500 changes their life. Evident by, I just watched the video. It's evident by a video that I just seen where a young man was pleased with his service at a restaurant, played a little joke on the waiter like he forgot his wallet, only to gift the waiter $500 for how well he took care of him. And the waiter was inconsolably crying because that $500 meant that much. A great gesture, but it's just evident of the time that we in. The wealth gap between rich and poor is larger than it's ever been. The middle class essentially does not exist. Everybody is either well off or you're a paycheck away from being in the shelter. A lost job, a layoff away from being in the shelter. That type of volatility is not healthy for no society, let alone a society and an economy that is wealthy as America is. So this is what I propose. We need to begin to truly start building bridges for all the ways we are alike and similar in all the ways we align. And stop building walls based off of all the ways that we don't align and that we're not alike. And get rid of this whole idea of political ideology and party that only separates everybody. Because when it hits the fan and when push comes to shove, and you reduce everything to a simplest variable, the only enemy that we truly have is poverty, and the people that is a proponent to maintain poverty as it exists. That's the true enemy. Is really the people, the few that sit up top and control the majority. One thing I encourage everybody: the power is always with the people. So as long as we continue to do that song and dance and play their political games and participate in all of those things and try to guilt trip people for not participating in the circus that you want to participate in because there's a standard of living and peace of mind that I want to have, you can't guilt trip me into voting for a candidate. I would write my name in first. You can't. I understand the political happenings in this country at a level that most people don't. And I'm always willing to have the necessary conversations whenever I need to have those conversations. So the debate, I say all that to say, to sum it up, the debate went exactly as I anticipated. Kamala, who's the lawyer, looked polished, and she represented herself in a manner that was plausible to her constituents. Donald Trump looked like Donald Trump. He ain't gonna never be anything different. He's gonna grandstand. It's gonna be a lot of hyperbole. It's gonna be a lot of deflection. He's gonna repeat a lot of things, right? And he's gonna appear and appeal to his constituency. It'll come to November. People will vote, and the decision will be made. The question is, okay, what do we do as a people, as the common people of this country? What do we do beyond November? What do we do to change a lot of the disparities that exist? What do we do to strengthen our communities, to strengthen our families? Because we've seen the disintegration of the family. So subsequently, we've seen the disintegration of the community. And subsequently, we are witnessing the disintegration of society as we know it. What we need to truly focus on is what we're going to do to be able to move in a manner independent of the powers that be, to strengthen our families, to restore our communities, and to build our societies in a healthy way and lift each other up in that manner. So it is what it is. You know, again, enjoy the circus, watch the debates, participate as much as you want to participate. Just give love and respect to everybody, regardless of what their positions is. And if we do that, we solve a lot of the issues that we have. But too often we can't get out of our own way. We can't get out of the way of our own ideology enough to be able to create true allyship. So we'll continue to see the polarization. We'll continue to see this side hates that side and that side hates this side. And ultimately, as long as we're fighting each other, they win. Simply put. Let's talk about Tory Lanez. Now, by now, I'm sure everybody knows Tory Lanez is serving a sentence for whatever went down between he and Megan Thee Stallion and her friend and that whole fiasco. The whole situation is sad, the entire situation, because it was 100% avoidable. But you got alcohol, you got irresponsibility, you got tempers, you got a love triangle, allegedly, and next thing you know, this is what became of it. So a cautionary tale for everybody to really understand self-control, to understand not to put yourself in positions that's going to be compromising. But in this instance, recently Tory Lanez released a project called From Jail. Because technology is the way it is, he's figured out a way to record from jail and not compromise on the quality at all. So it's high grade studio level quality, even from jail. So that was dope. He dropped the project. Tory Lanez is a phenomenal artist. Regardless of how you feel about him, I understand how you feel about him. For those people that do feel some type of way about him, he's a phenomenal artist. So the music was part of course. It was of the Tory Lanez standard. Some rumors came out a couple of days ago that his cell was raided, that all of his recording equipment was taken in that raid, so on and so forth. And that was the gist of it. Well, recently Tory Lanez released a statement on his social media, on his Instagram page, just basically detailing what's going on. And he shares that it's a deeper conspiracy as it pertains to why his cell got raided and why the tapes was taken from him. So being in jail, and this is Tory's words, not mine, as he talked about this, I'm summarizing the letter. He just simply shared that he questioned God. Why am I here? Why do you have me in this moment at this time? And to try to find a sense of purpose for where he is. And in that, he realized that he could be of assistance and of refuge and resource to a lot of the people and inmates that he's meeting while he's in jail. And apparently, again, this is all based off of his word. He was taking a lot of his resources and the proceeds that he was making from the music that he owns to help fund some of the trials of the people that he was in jail with. A lot of people, because we know, especially for us Black people, jail is filled with a lot of innocent people. We see that time and time again. The injustice system. Look at how Tyreek Hill was treated, and that's only a microcosm of a larger problem, as I already spoke to a little earlier. So his intentions became known to the powers that be in the judicial system, and that's why his cell got raided and all of those things happened. If things is as true as he said, I have to tip my hat to him for where he is now. For him to understand that because he have a platform, because he has a voice, and because he has resources, how can he use those resources to help atone for mistakes that he's made? And I think this was a great start. He was basically taking the proceeds to ensure that people who had underrepresentation or no representation or appeals or all of those things, to make sure they had what they needed in order for them to be able to do what they need to do in steps to gain their freedom from a injustice system that unfairly targets Black people. So again, that's extremely noble of him. I have to caution, I'll take it a step further and say, listen, we have to understand that when it comes to this interaction, when it comes to the liberation of Black people, it is truly a war. It's not to be taken lightly. So I have to admonish Tory Lanez. When you doing things like this and you on a path like this, you have to move with a level of foresight, unmatched, unbeforeseen, because the powers that be is gonna definitely thwart whatever it is you're trying to do. I have to stress to people, it was a mandate in the COINTELPRO papers from J. Edgar Hoover. The greatest threat to American democracy is the liberated Black man. That's not me. That's J. Edgar Hoover in his mandate to thwart the rise of the Black Messiah that has been made public in the COINTELPRO documents. That's public now. This is not conjecture. This is not conspiracy theory. J. Edgar Hoover and the clandestine services of America believed at the time that the greatest threat to American democracy was a freely liberated Black man. We have to understand the foundations upon which these systems are built. And because we know that that's the foundations upon which these systems are built, no, Tory Lanez, they're not going to allow you the resources that you have to be able to help free people in the circumstances that the system put them in. So I say that the reason why I admonish you is because although what you're doing is normal, although what you're doing is noble, it is imperative that you be strategic. To quote the great Malcolm X, we are not outnumbered, we are out-organized. So you have to be strategic in everything you do, Tory, literally strategic in everything you do. If you feel like your plan and purpose that God set on your heart is to help be a voice of liberation to people that you meet in them trenches behind the walls going through what they're going through. So again, salute to you for that endeavor and for what you're doing now. And I just have to encourage you to be extremely strategic in how you move. Let's talk YSL. Hey, yo, free Jeffrey, yo. I just got to say it. Free Jeffrey. But on a serious note, the YSL trial, first of all, I think they're 4 months. And I'm talking about trial days. Over 120 trial days at this point is completely ridiculous. By my estimations, where we stand now, there's no way that you're going to convince me this is going to end in anything other than a mistrial or not guilty. It seems like this prosecution has done everything possible to F this up. They have made every mistake possible to create a solid case for the state against Young Thug and YSL. Lil Woody is an internet sensation now. Every time you see him, whether it's the 20v1s where he doing, the side hustles he got, or whether he's sitting on trial, I feel like in an alternate universe, if this guy was born to a different set of circumstances, he probably would be one of the greatest comedians we have at our presence today, because he is nonstop hilarity. But again, it's just a testament to the socioeconomic standards, to the society that we come from. We have certain experiences. We have certain environments. It's a reason they call a project. Because maybe if in an alternate universe, if he was born somewhere else, he wouldn't be in the circumstances that he in, like Young Thug and many others. So these are the cards we dealt. We don't make the rules. We just play the game, and we try to play it as best as we could. But with this YSL Rico trial, it is 100% a circus. I don't know how else to explain it. It's a public trial, so you can follow it. You can tune into the YouTube commentary. You can tune into the lawyers that's increasing their engagements by, adding color commentary to a lot of the things this was going on, adding some clarity and things like that. But I mean, the YSL trial it's just a fiasco. I don't know how it's. I genuinely, I've never seen anything like it. It's like I'm watching a movie. It just doesn't seem real. It's like a Shonda Rhimes production. It's like How to Get Away with Selling Dime Bags. How to get away with being a street level drug dealer. how to get away with renting cars out to the homies to do, spin a block. You feel me? But again, I guess the question that I have is, how did we arrive here? One of the biggest things that I've seen that kind of stands out, the person with the most information and knowledge on the things that transpire has full immunity from everything that he talk about, has 100% immunity from everything that he talk about. And the more and more information he disclosed, the more and more it sounds like that the DA have the wrong guy on the stand, meaning Young Thug is the wrong guy. The person that they probably should have been chasing is the person that they gave immunity to. But unfortunately, at this point, they gave him, well, I'm not gonna say unfortunately or fortunately, have you look at it, they gave immunity to him. So it's nothing that they'll be able to do for crimes that he's committed in the past. And now he's built such a profile, he'd never have to indulge into a life of crime again, because just his name attached to anything on social media moves the algorithm. It makes you watch, make you click, make you tune in, make you like, make you comment, make you engage. And as long as he can do that, he can leverage that into monetization. And guess what? He will. They'll try to find or figure something out, but at the end of the day, he have immunity from everything that he done in the past, and he has no incentive whatsoever at this current moment with the amount of interest that he generate on social media. He has no incentive to do anything other than continue to monetize his pages, continue to monetize his content, and make money being a social media personality. So continue to tune into the YSL trial. Free Jeffrey. It's a lot of Atlanta politics involved in that. So I'll just speak on it objectively. I ain't going deep in the weeds on nothing, because it's real people that's still alive and family members still moving throughout the city and stuff like that. It's real ramifications on the other end of it. So we look at it as one end of entertainment, but it's real lives attached to it. So it's crazy all the way around, but I'm gonna stay tuned to see how it turn out. I mean, because again, by my estimation, I don't see how, with my eyes, if I'm sitting there as a juror and I got to make a decision, it's not guilty. If I'm a juror, there's no way that I can hear the things that I've heard in following this trial that I'm saying he guilty. Ain't gonna happen. Also, while we on the tune of Atlanta, I gotta say rest in peace to the legend Rich Homie Quan. He is an Atlanta legend. Don't get it confused. Rich Homie Quan is the voice of he had a whole era. He had a whole run. So when you talk about Atlanta hip hop, it's some people that's going to be chapters. It's some people that's going to be footnotes. Rich Homie Quan definitely got a chapter in the hip hop story of Atlanta, for sure. So rest in peace to the homie Quan. And here we are. Week 1 of the NFL season, Super Bowl announcement performance. And guess who they choose? Guess who they choose? Hey, yo, shout out to the homie K-Dot. He's on a historic run right now. When we talking hip-hop history, this run that he on, we got to mention this run with 50 Cent in 03. We got the state property run. We got to mention, we could go all the way back to the Wu-Tang era if you want. When you had the purple tape and you had all of those, you know what I mean? Like Wu-Tang, they dropped the Wu-Tang joint and then everybody just make like, where do you want to start? Where do you want to end? You know what I mean? K-Dot is on a crazy run right now. Crazy run. He was once from around the way. You know what I mean? Like that drop. And it's been spooky since like that. But with it, like anything else, right? You have an announcement. Drake has an extremely dedicated fan club. Salute to those folks. Salute to everybody that, you know, that's a part of the Drake fan club. But I've seen some stuff since this announcement that I never, ever, ever would expect to see. The amount of people that crashed out in the name of quote unquote Lil Wayne is ridiculous. So here's the controversy. News break. Kendrick is performing at the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is New Orleans. About a year or so ago, Lil Wayne spoke on his desire to perform at the Super Bowl in New Orleans. He wanted that to be his halftime show. Obviously, because of the way the hip hop community endears Lil Wayne, it was a foregone conclusion that he'll likely get the nod. Now, what we're learning now, his name was never even in consideration. His name wasn't even in consideration. And because how much the hip hop community endears Lil Wayne, when they saw that interview, the assumptions was made like, oh, it must be a thing. It's a possibility. It's going to be a thing, but it was never a thing. Now, this is what happened once that took place. Nicki Minaj, Birdman, Juvie, and a few others has literally crashed out slandering Jay-Z as if Jay-Z is the person that's responsible for choosing a halftime performance. Now, here's the gray area. Jay-Z and Roc Nation did a deal with the NFL, a partnership on the heels of the Colin Kaepernick situation. NFL needed to clean up their image based on how they responded, how they treated, conspired, and colluded against Colin Kaepernick, right? And it was a mutually beneficial agreement. Jay-Z and Roc Nation and their affiliates became a part of what's going on with the Kaepernick situation. I mean, not the Kaepernick. What's going on with the Super Bowl performances. So now on the outside, we don't know the inner workings of this agreement, but on the outside looking in, we know Jay-Z is in some way, shape, form, or fashion responsible for the halftime acts that we see. Because of this development, people turn all of the animus that they have in their heart towards Jay-Z. This was the perfect opportunity for them to talk about how they really feel. Let's start with Nicki. Nicki is really the biggest culprit. She crashed out like I've never seen anybody crash out before, and ultimately it became for no reason at all. Like none, goose egg. Jay-Z hating on Lil Wayne. It was a whole bunch of subliminals. See, y'all want to have brunch. I tried to tell y'all, but y'all wanted to have brunch. A shot at the Roc Nation brunch and all of that. It was just idiocy. Nicki, if you felt this way, stand on business. Don't use this opportunity that you feel he slighted Lil Wayne to speak your heart. Speak your heart. Let it know how it really be felt. The craziest and most egregious thing about the position that they took is so many positions Nicki could have took and Birdman and everybody else could have took to support Lil Wayne. They chose a moral high ground. They tried to attempt a moral high ground in their argument for Lil Wayne. Of all people, tell me, how does this make sense? Nicki said, a young black man. Huh? Lil Wayne said he don't align with nothing. Black Lives Matter, none of that. He said he don't care about none of that. He pulled out his rag. He said, this is what I align with. I'm a gangster, Miss Katie. What are we talking about? It's a lot of arguments that you can make for Lil Wayne. A moral one is not one that you can make. You cannot make a moral argument for Lil Wayne because every time Lil Wayne had a chance to do something, say something, or be instrumental in using his platform to shine a light on social issues that affect the very people that buy and support his music, he made it clear where he stood. So that's not the argument that you make. Just talk about his artistry. Talk about the run that he had. Talk about how great of an artist that he's proven himself to be over the years. But by all means, do not say Jay-Z trying to keep a young black man down. Lord have mercy. That is the most retarded argument that you can make for Lil Wayne. Birdman, same thing. You crashing out, saying, calling all types of names, all via, first of all, one thing I know for sure, real gangsters is not on social media making threats. You an OG, yo. You old. Respectfully, you old. You don't even need to be engaged in that type of controversy. Like, I'm sure y'all got phone numbers to make phone calls and have conversations like men to really find out what's going on. But just tweets and threats via social media is crazy to me. But that's a decision that y'all choose to make. Now, the winner in all of this clearly is Kendrick. Because all Kendrick doing at this point is existing. He ain't doing nothing but existing. And he's truly, this is another another feather in his cap. Yo, he's truly the hip hop boogeyman. Every time his name is spoke, every time something comes up, he breaks the internet. He was all the internet and everybody was talking about once that news broke. And he continues to perform at a high level. He continues to make phenomenal music. All of the Grammys, I mean, for God's sake, the man got a Pulitzer Prize. All of the awards, all of the accolades, he continues to show why he's one of the greatest artists in hip hop history. And he'll continue to do that. In the meantime, salute to Drake, salute to Nicki, salute to Birdman, salute to Lil Wayne. You feel me? But y'all guys got to chill. Juvie, same way. Juvie, everybody talking about something, they dropped the ball. How did NFL drop the ball, bro? Like, it's the Super Bowl. You know the beauty of the Super Bowl? It happens every year. It happens every year. Next year could have been Lil Wayne's turn. Guess what? Y'all making it hard. Y'all making it very difficult. Pause. Y'all making it very difficult. When all y'all had to do was just shut up, make the phone calls that y'all needed to make, had the conversations that y'all needed to have behind the scenes, and not run to social media and crash out. Hey, yo, aside from that, we need a moment of prayer for Nicki, because Nicki, she needs help. She's not in a good mental space at all. She continues to show time and time again that she's just not a good person. Like I don't know her directly. It's just everything that I see, every time she's in conflict or turmoil with somebody, and you hear all the sides of what's going on, she is always the antagonist. She's always the villain. And she places herself in this position. The things that she say and that she talk about be vile. And for the sake of what? Hip hop? Get out of here, man. At the end of the day, I hope everything is good with you, because the way you crashed out was uncalled for. You can't this is the thing with words. You can't unsay them. You can't put the genie back in the bottle, baby. It's out. And Jay-Z just sitting back like, I'm glad to know that's how y'all feel. And somebody with the power, influence, and affluence of Jay-Z, and he petty too. He's shown how he petty. Ask Dame. Dame Dash should tell you how petty Jay is. So for somebody with that much power and authority throughout the industry, you would really want him to be an ally. And everybody just burned the bridge without having a boat. I mean, at least if you burn the bridge, have a boat. A lot of y'all just burn bridges and y'all don't even have a boat. So y'all stuck. But it is what it is. Salute to K. Dot. Kendrick, you winning. 2024 was your year. Is your year. Continue to thrive. Continue to grow. I'm waiting on the album. And, every time your name mentioned, bro, sometimes you got to pop out and show niggas. Certified boogeyman. I'm the one that up the scope with him. walking down whole time, think he got some hoe on him. Extortion, really defrauding him. Satan. All right, we gonna chill. We gonna chill. We gonna chill. They not like us. All right, we gonna chill. We gonna chill. We gonna chill. I hear him talking out things. All right, we gonna relax. But in all seriousness, though, too much is being made out of this. We got to keep everything. Remember, I told you I started off talking about content and context. We got to keep everything in its proper context. This is entertainment, people. These are rappers. These are stars. These are celebrities, but these are rappers. This is entertainment. Some people are way too invested beyond, like literally, it's real world stuff going on. And this is where I got to segue and just really take a sidebar before I close this up. It's kids dying in the Congo right now. Like literally dying, working for the minerals and the natural resources that's included in the production of all of the technologies that we use every day. These are entertainers, bro. This is the Super Bowl performance. Nobody is dying on the operating table. It's real issues that deserve real outrage. Kendrick getting the Super Bowl in New Orleans over Lil Wayne is not something that we should really be outraged about. Yeah, I want to joke around, laugh, and have fun too. And I joke around, I laugh, and I have fun too. But on a serious note, some of y'all need to get your heads out of social media, unplug from the matrix, and really just look around, appreciate life, be thankful for what you have. No matter how little it is, be thankful, count your blessings, and the things that you won't have won't even matter no more. Because again, it's real world shit going on. And if you want to be outraged or something, just hit me up on any of my social media, shoot me a DM. I guarantee you I can give you a plethora of stuff that requires legitimate outrage. This ain't one of them. They say death come in threes. It's crazy. Rest in peace to Rich Homie Quan. I know you feel some type of way. Atlanta legend. Deserve all of the flowers. Rest in peace to Frankie Beverly. Man, that one, he lived a full life. But the cookout music, I mean, if you truly understand the African-American experience, then you've never had a single solitary family gathering without Frankie Beverly. I can assure you, there has not, it don't matter what it is, family reunion, a regular cookout in the summertime, the coronation, whatever you could go through a list. If it's an event that involves the gathering of 3 or more Black family members, you gonna hear Frankie Beverly 100%. Rest in peace to Frankie Beverly. And of course, the ultimate thespian. I gotta say rest in peace to the ultimate legend and thespian, James Earl Jones. Simba, you deliberately disobeyed me. Classic. No, I gotta go back to the original Fences. We gotta go back to the Fences stage play. My man went crazy in the original Fences stage play. What law is it that says I gotta like you? Come on, man. What we talking about, man? And then, of course, put a sock in it, Jaffe. The boy is in love. You gotta, come on, man. We talking about James Earl Jones, a true pioneer in the world of acting, a true representation of what it is to blaze a trail and be a consummate professional and kick down doors and pave the way. Denzel Washington gave such a beautiful tribute to James Earl Jones. Check the statement that he made. The whole world, everybody, if you truly a Black actor that know the history and know the pedigree, we just lost a giant, an absolute giant in that space. And that's the beauty of art, though, because all of the art that he graced the world with will live on forever. And that's just a fraction of what his legacy is. So I have to say, rest in peace to Rich Homie Quan. Died young, me and him the same age, died young. So unfortunate. Rest in peace to Frankie Beverly, a music legend. And of course, rest in peace to James Earl Jones. I send my condolence to all your family. all the families that's involved and impacted, all of the loved ones. Continue to rest in peace. Continue to rest in power. Love. Again, the laws of thermodynamics says energy can neither be created nor destroyed, but transferred. That means if you got good energy, guess what? I need it. And if you need good energy, guess what? I got it. This is the world according to Kay Nellz. I appreciate y'all for rocking with me. I truly do. I truly do. We're going to keep it going. We're going to keep it rocking. There's going to be more to come, right? And I would be remiss if I didn't tell you subscribe. I need you to subscribe to the YouTube channel. I need you to follow all my social medias at Kay Nellz, Kaynellz. It's Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you're looking for. Just go to Google, type in Kay Nellz. You're guaranteed to find me. Until next time, stay up like a layup. I holla.
I say get down when I say you get down. I say get down when I say you get down. I say get down when I say you get down. I say get down when I say you get down.
What the hell are you looking for? Can a young nigga get money anymore?